and the talent that my mother had born to her equals a gun. What is it, Trey?
Yo, man, that's the formula.
Yo, episode 11.
We still get the yo regardless, huh?
Yeah, had to do it for you. But episode 11 for the Formula podcast. It's now January 2026. New year, new us.
That's going to be the title right there. New year, new us.
Yeah. So this one we're probably just going to focus mostly on our goals within 2026, kind of what we're leaving behind, what we're focused on this year, how we came to that, and then just the ways to get there, I guess. So if you want to, Casey, I know the holiday season has been around. People haven't seen you since. Just give us a quick overview of what the holidays were for you. Family time, snowboarding.
Bro, it's crazy because we talked like right after the new year, but Christmas feels like it was a month ago already,
Yeah.
which is wild. But yeah, the spark notes for me, Christmas was good. Everyone was sick. I don't know if it was like that in your guys' holidays too, but we had a few that got canceled. And I mean, we still ran around a decent amount, but every single one we went to, everyone was coughing up a storm and sneezing. And Caroline and I were nervous, and I'll get to this part too, but we went to Michigan for a ski snowboard trip over New Year's. So we were treading a little lightly, thinking like, damn, we don't want to pick something up and then be screwed over the new year. But it went good. Otherwise, we spent Christmas Eve at my aunt's house, as we usually do. And then we spent Christmas Day at my parents' house and her uncle's house, where we watched like the Vikings Christmas game, which was pretty sweet. The Snoop Dogg halftime performance was pretty solid. Did you watch that?
No, I did not watch that.
Damn. Yeah. I mean, we're kind of out for as far as playoffs are concerned, but I don't know. Got to support the squad nonetheless.
Out or are out?
Are out. by then, I mean, we were out then too, I suppose. But yeah, I mean, it's a little bit more exciting of a time to be a Packer fan, I imagine. Hey, got to represent. But Christmas was good. And then, yeah, going into the new year, we went to Mohawk, Michigan, where we stayed at an Airbnb. It was us and then two other couples, primarily based around this like boys trip that we put together to go out to Mount Bohemia, which is unreal. Like, I can't shout out Mount Bohemia enough. It was one of those things where, you know, you don't really know what to expect. Like, you see the photos and you see the videos leading up to it, but there's all this propaganda around Mount Bohemia that it's like not for beginners, and not really any even like intermediate terrain. So this is my second year snowboarding. Just a quick disclaimer. So everything is new to me still to some extent. A lot of the hills around here are decently mild, but you know, again, I'm still only a couple of years in. So regardless, it would have been a challenge.
Yeah.
But first day at Mount Bohemia, which complete like backcountry, I'd say probably 90% skiers. Everything's like vertical through trees, lots of ungroomed terrain. The most amount of snow I've ever seen. I don't know if you've ever been to the UP before, but it's like, I'll have to send you some videos.
There.
Yeah, just like driving through, we were getting a ton of snow that day. So I don't know. It was like being fully submerged in snow, like not even being able to see your feet or board while you're snowboarding is a new experience to me.
Yeah.
But our very first run, like I said, there's no, you know, beginner terrain. So like you're looking at the signs and it's like single black diamond, double, triple black diamond. So we're like kind of just winging it. And the first run we went down, absolutely got our asses kicked. Like just wasn't what we were used to. It was so much work. We were just so gassed. We'd have to stop every couple of minutes and just catch our breath and be like, all right, here we go. And then we got down to the bottom and we were like, whew, that was exhausting. And we stopped and we went back and got a beer and like we had backpacks that we dropped off. And then throughout the day after that, it got so much better. Like we found some other runs. Seriously, like one of the best times I've ever had. The hill was super cool. Everyone was so nice there. Bottom of the hill, they had this like spa, they called it.
Mhm.
And like the spa and the bars and like the chalet and like where you check in to get your lift tickets and stuff is all in these like yurts, they call it. They're kind of just like,
Yurts?
I don't know, like domes, like blow up domes, it kind of feels like. And then there's just like
Yeah.
entrances to each of them. So you're
Okay.
kind of inside, you're outside kind of still, it feels, but then you're inside too. Like I said, the rest of the day was amazing. We powered through that. And then the next day we went to the girls, I should say too, were not planning to go to Mount Bohemia at all. They were like, that's too much for us. We're all very beginner.
Yeah.
So we went to, I don't even remember what the name of the other place was, but it was in Houghton.
Mhm.
It's just like a smaller hill that had like some beginner runs and bunny hills and stuff.
Yeah.
So the next day we went to there with the girls. Again, a blast. Like the girls went down the bunny hill a bunch, and then there was a couple of runs that were a little more chill. That's where I FaceTimed you from that day. And
Mhm.
they had like the T-bar lift. So you kind of just like uh straddle it a little bit and just kind of like pulls your weight up.
Yeah, yeah.
And then the next day, I ended up with this bad boy here. Um, Not too much of a cool story. Unfortunately, it actually was coming off the lift. I don't know if I told you that.
Wait, what?
Yeah, it was. So we had all the powder the first day, and everything was like you could have jumped off the lift and probably been fine because there was so much snow.
Yeah.
The next day, not quite as much snow. The like exits from the two different lifts both are like this and complete ice.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like I ride goofy, and then the two buddies that I was with ride regular.
Mhm.
And the chairs are pretty teeny, so it's like you get off, and then our boards are essentially facing each other.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it just was like stupid. I just me and my buddy Brandon just kind of like bumped into each other. My board kind of like slid out, and I just did the typical like put your hands down to catch your fall. And right away, I was like, shit. I was like, I messed my wrist up. I knew it. And
Yeah.
I kind of could still do this, you know? So I was like, all right, maybe it's not that bad. Maybe it's just the initial shock. So I went down once and I was trying not to make this too long winded either. I don't want this to all be about this, but went down once, knew something was wrong, but was like, maybe it's not that bad. Went up again and I like took my glove off to look at it and it was like, did not look good and I couldn't get my glove back on. So we went down one run. Truthfully, my best run of the whole weekend. So fun, like really felt so locked in. Like I had my headphones in and kind of was figuring out like the paths to take and how to do that same run that I talked about on the first day that kicked our ass. Like I got the hang of it and got to the bottom and was like, you fellas keep going. I'm gonna go see if I can get an ace bandage or something, then keep going. And I asked for an ace bandage and the lady was like, oh no, like you gotta go to ski patrol right now. I was like, all right. So I went to ski patrol. They managed me up, spent pretty much the rest of the day in the chalet having a few beers and just hanging with the locals, talking with
Yeah.
people, and let the guys go the rest of the day. And fast forward, went to the ER when we got back to Minnesota. Drove a nice 8 hours with one arm home, and then got the cast, and now just kind of
Yeah.
powering through. So that was
Yeah.
not a good way to ring in the new year, to say the least.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. Damn, that is quite the time. And it's funny too, like with you being injured a little bit, you saying like that was your best run then, because I feel like once you get a little injured and stuff like that, especially more extreme sports, you're like, all right, now I need to freaking lock in
Yeah,
to get in that flow state. I think I've talked about that even with you with like getting hit in the face during jujitsu or like boxing or something like that. And then all of a sudden you're just, all right, I'm not letting that happen again or
yeah.
just lock in.
Well, especially when the stakes feel so high, like we got all this gear on, like I got my headphones in, and I'm kind of just vibing out there, like the views are beautiful.
Yeah.
You don't really realize how high the stakes are, like how quickly your vibe can turn around. And
Hmm.
I powered through. I try to keep the spirits high, like questionable decision on my part, but I opted to. The girls all went into town and were like shopping and stuff that day, and I
Hmm.
opted to just not tell them until because they were planning to meet us at the spa, which was at the hill that we were at that night. Like we brought all
Yeah.
the girls' gear to do that. So I was like, well, I'm just not going to tell them because I don't want it to like screw up their day. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad I made that decision. But obviously, they weren't super happy about it, which I get.
And
But
they
we ended
show
up
up and you're hammered.
there was a little bit of that. But I told them like when they were on the way, I just was like, I don't want any adjustments to plans. Like, you guys still just come. Like, I got swimsuits and towels and stuff here. I'm
Yeah.
hanging. The boys are still out ripping. You guys come and we'll do the spa as we discussed. And
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
glad I did because I don't know. Obviously, it was broken and I had to get a cast and stuff, but I don't think there was anything that immediate that needed to be done. Like, I
Yeah,
had,
you can't do anything about it.
yeah, I had this like, I made so many friends first of all that day because everyone was like, oh, dude, like, what happened? What happened? And they had like a cardboard, it looked like a pizza box that they like wrapped around, and then I like was holding on to a toilet paper roll so it could like keep my fingers active. But I don't know. I like we went in the hot like the spa actually was so sick. It would have been sicker if I didn't have my wrist issue, obviously, but it was all outside, hot tubs. There was like 4 or 5 different steam rooms and saunas, and they
Man,
had like a steam shower, and
man,
then they had cold plunges, but where the steam shower was, they had this like big bucket that had like ice cold water that would refill. So you like
no.
pull the string and like get doused in the cold water, and you could like go
Yeah.
in the steam shower and then into the sauna. And I just kind of like held my arm out while I did it. And again, I'm sure the beers I was drinking gave me a little bit of a cushion, but powered through and it was worth it. So
That's funny.
slight hitch on what was a great trip.
Yeah, yeah. Well,
What
I'm
about
glad you at least still enjoyed it. I was just in Green Bay with my family, which we spent a week out there, and Steph's family is from there too. So we spent a lot of time running around to different places. For us, it was a big thing that we focus on is just making sure like my nieces and nephews are seen and her godson and younger cousins too. So, we did a day with each of them. We actually had her godson, my godson's younger sister in Chicago the weekend before. So we had done a weekend in Chicago with them, came back, and but then with my nieces and nephews, just I babysat them. I changed my first diaper,
nice?
which was crazy because my niece was fighting me harder than most grown men fight me. So it made it very difficult to put a diaper on her. And
Remind me of the ages again of your nieces and nephews.
so my oldest niece is like 10. The second one is around 8. My nephew is 4, 3, and my youngest niece is a little over 1. And yeah, so but it was great. It was a great time with my family and Steph's family too. So we always value that time because we don't get as much of it. And then New Year's, we just came back here, spent it at a friend's, and really just was focusing on like catching up on work, planning for this new year, and making sure my goals were aligned for that too. I think after I mentioned it in the last conversation we had, but heavy focus on that and just knowing like what I want and how to get there and stuff like that. So I put together a notebook even like with my goals and broke it down and like by section and also by like just the consistent things I need to do. And that's where a lot of my mental capacity was at over break. So
So after you got your travels out of the way, you feel like you could come back and like have some stationary time to lock in on stuff for this year?
yeah, yeah, for sure. I didn't know my team could all work from home, so we probably would have stayed in Green Bay that extra week if I would
Yeah,
have known, but it was kind of a blessing that I didn't know because I got to come to the office and I was literally the only person at the office one of the days,
nice.
which was nice for me. I felt like that really helped me like get a lot of the admin stuff done that I need to and feel aligned with like my plans moving forward too. So, cause in the office, it can get kind of distracting at times with just having people around you.
Yeah, it was, I don't know, a little bit different for me this year. I feel like we were moving around so much that my
Hmm.
year preparation was a little more on the fly.
Yeah.
But I felt like because of that, I was having to I don't want to say force, but I just was having natural moments come to me where I'm like, oh, I should write this down, or oh, this is
Mhm.
something that's good to look into for 2026. And
Yeah.
I did find time to dedicate specifically to just writing goals out. And then kind
Mhm.
of a 2.0 of that, I went back and was like, how could I make these more specific and more actionable rather than just saying like,
Mhm.
I want to, be more mindful or I want to like work out more. I wanted to actually make it a little more specific, but
Yeah.
I didn't feel like, and I did work a couple days in between Christmas and New Year's, but it was nice just to like block that time off,
Mhm.
obviously for the long drive there, and then downtime that we had when we were in Michigan. I got to process some of this stuff, and being with a good group, I think was really helpful for that too, because I've had such a spectrum of New Year's experiences, and obviously that changes as you get older. Like you don't really just go to a bar or, do whatever. And like you said, you were
Yeah.
with were the people that you were with again?
Derek and Emma.
Eric and Emma. Yeah, we met them once. I don't know. It just like really helps you like get in tune to what you want to be doing and who you want to be spending time with, and doing something a little more chill. I think kind
Yeah.
of contributes to figuring some stuff out rather than just like doing whatever's available. So we talked a lot this year about either making it an annual thing with this group, or doing something similar each time ringing in the new year. Cause I
Mhm.
don't know, it felt simple and it felt close to home, and it was a good
Yeah.
way to, you know, get good energy going into the new year for sure.
Well, especially too, like, you're not then just coming into the new year feeling like complete crap because you went and just all you were focused on was getting hammered. It was like, okay, maybe you did get hammered, but at least you were doing something fun and active and something that's a new experience to keep you excited.
The new experience, especially, we did a murder mystery party that Caroline planned, and
Mhm.
super unique, something I'd never done before. We all like committed to our characters. Like Caroline planned out each of our characters, and since we
Yeah.
were couples, we were like married couples, and I'll have to send you some photos from that too. But some people really committed to the bit, and my
Yeah.
buddy John was like an A24 filmmaker, and he came with like this like bob wig and kind of like a fedora hat and these glasses, and he had
Yeah.
a whole accent on all night, and it just was, I don't know, it was funny, lighthearted way to do
Yeah.
something new, and again, not just like sit around and look at each other like leading up to the new year. So I'm doing something that's an actual activity, I think helps
Yeah.
kill time. And also by the time the ball had dropped, we were like, all right, what time is it? Like, let's get to bed kind of thing. So it was a good way to kick things off for sure.
Yeah, those types of things too, like the murder mystery. We did one of those for the first time. Like it was it was Halloween themed though. On Halloween we did that, and those are
Damn,
fun.
so
Like
fun.
we did a witch hunt, but especially with a smaller group, it would probably be just so much better because we had like probably 30 people at this event that we were at doing
Damn.
it. So it was like pretty hard to kind of figure it out necessarily win, I guess. But I didn't know what to expect walking into it, and I had such a great time. So I'm trying to do more stuff like that too.
Caroline made a TikTok that she posted, and it's like she set up her phone in the bathroom. And have you seen those TikToks where it's like so and I think so and so is going to get the most drunk tonight?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
did that, but we all did it as our characters. So we like popped in, and it's so funny because we're all referencing each other as like the names of the characters and stuff. And they
Yeah.
all were so mine. And then my buddy Brandon's are probably the least like theatrical of characters. Honestly, mine was like pretty similar to my actual personality, I felt. So
Yeah.
it was hard to, go super hard. But I don't know. It just was funny that there was like such a spectrum of commitment and
Yeah.
costume associated and stuff too. So it was good though. But like I said, obviously I got some time to reflect going into it. I want to get into a bit of specifics. We don't have to go too in depth, but about some of our goals for 2026 and just like energy
Hmm.
leading into it. Something that I've mentioned to you before is I never used to subscribe to the new year, new me thing. Like I always
Yeah.
thought, okay, well, why can't I just lock in the
Yeah.
previous year? Like, why do I need this new year to commit to all these changes? But
Yeah.
I've kind of switched my tune on that in the past couple of years, where the last month at least, and I don't know if it's just the new year itself or if it's just the opportunity to commit to new stuff, but this year, last year, and the year before specifically felt super charged up, felt super like zoomed out on the stuff I didn't like about the previous year and like what I had previously set forth that I didn't accomplish maybe.
Mhm.
What is your relationship like to the new year, new me thing and how
Yeah.
much do you commit to changes when a new year comes around?
Yeah, I think like what popped in my head when you were talking about that is there's a guy named Mike Ovitz who was like known as the super agent for the talent agent industry. And one thing that he used to say is like he didn't have contracts that would end at a certain time or like get reevaluated.
Mm,
Because at that time, when you hit that threshold, then you start to realize the good and the bad that came with that, and then you'll be more willing to change, say, your agent. And I kind of think of that with the year and like just myself too. It's kind of like that contract renewal. You know, some people do it on their birthday, some people do it on New Year's, some people just don't do it. But for me, it's always super important just because my birthday I kind of get a little sad sometimes, so like that's what I'm more focused on that. And I don't know why I do. It's just like whatever. And then with New Year's though, I get more excited. I feel like it's also just I don't know, I spent so much more time thinking about what the last year was like. I think it's also just easier because so many people have it on their mind at the same time, so these conversations start. And you know, with our last couple meetings or last couple podcasts that we did, we talked a lot about this stuff and there was a lot of small things that were coming up and also even just with work too, like you know, they're bringing around the people that did the best that year and like talking about who's the best and all this stuff. And so it's on everyone's mind. So I think it's so easy to reflect on these things and start to work through them too. Because I mean, I got a little pissed off at work because I was like, I know I'm really good. I knew I shouldn't have been on that leaderboard, but I was like, I know I can be up there. So, and then also I just was checking, like reading a book that made things a little more simple to me. And, you know, I always try to learn a little bit more right at the end of the year too, to help in that process or maybe reevaluate some of the things I did learn over the year and just try to implement those if I haven't yet. And so for me, I love it. I do it. I always spend way too much time on it probably than most people, but it is nice at the end of the year then to check and see, okay, did I accomplish some of this stuff? And usually just because I wrote it down and I put it as a focus like that, something happens at least, whether it's you fully achieved the goal or you got partially there, or you made some sort of improvements. For me, it is important. It is something like that I do. So,
I think it's just kind of like a 2.0 of what we kind of do anyway, and like
mhm.
all the stuff that we continue talking about. If it's not something, even if it's not something that you use as your driving force throughout the year, it almost sets
Yeah.
like an outline for here's the things that I was thinking about at the beginning of the year, and
Yeah.
here's how I implemented them or didn't. And
Mhm.
regardless, it's good to take awareness of how you're feeling going into a new year. And if
Yeah.
the things, regardless of if you feel they're important or not, it's like this is the stuff that's top of mind. What
Mhm.
am I going to actually do to implement some of those things? And when we were talking before we hopped on here, and we can get into like some of the specifics too. I have my list here in front of me, but I I don't know if I always do this, but I just kind of had like a open-ended list of the
Mhm.
things I'd like to do better or
Yeah.
different this year. And I kind of just write open-endedly, like I don't categorize them
Mhm.
necessarily, but I did an extra pass through and try to make them a little more quantifiable or
Mhm.
specific rather than just
Yeah.
saying, I want to go to the gym more. I want to do XYZ more. Like, and maybe that's what I mean when I say I didn't subscribe to like the new year, new me thing. Like,
Mhm.
I don't want to set these like resolutions for me to just power out in the first couple months and then just go back to my old ways. I want it to be things that I've previously implemented in my life or that I want to implement in my life that
Mhm.
I unanimously know will make me
Yeah.
better physically, mentally, financially.
Mhm.
And that's what I noticed a lot when I was making my list this year. It's like the things that are, or maybe for lack of better words, considered corny when it comes to do XYZ processes for the business. Like it might seem
Yeah.
unnecessary, and a lot of times we get lost in process,
Hmm.
but how much has that propelled me to the next stage, at least from being aware
Yeah.
of the importance of that stuff and how it impacts my
Yeah.
business and my, physical and mental health.
Hmm.
So that was kind of the energy I think I channeled into it too. And I mean, I'm interested
Yeah.
to kind of go back and look at this list now to
Yeah.
see how applicable it is to some of the other conversations we've been having. But when
Hmm.
you make your list, what's do you kind of just like fire stuff off as it comes to your head? Do you have like buckets for different elements of your life that you think are important to make goals for the year, or what's your
Yeah.
process, if any?
So I think what typically happens for me is like I naturally just write down a lot of goals that I have and just things I want to do. So at some point I make this really long list because I just have all these ideas or they're just continually written down there. And then I come to a point of I'm like, okay, I need to categorize these. And so I make them into categories and then I'm like, this sucks. So I write them all down by hand and then I recategorize them and it turns into a really long process and probably too much of a process just because I get like overwhelmed by it and I need a different way to think about it. So that's kind of what happens for me. But like for this year, in the past, I'd always write like end goals. And I was talking to, I was talking to you about how like you are more focused on the things that happen. And I was talking to a girl at work that is like a marathon runner. And I said something like about like achieving the end goal. And she was like, that's not what it's about. She's like, I mean, I can finish a marathon any day. Like, that's great. And like the time to beat, yeah, I'd like to run faster than I ran the last time. She's like, it's more about committing to the process. And she's like, that's where the fun is and like the challenge is. It's not that you go on one day and you do a great race. She's like, the why I do it is because it's really hard to show up every day and to run 5 miles or whatever she is that day and commit to that training program. And she's like, if you also are doing it with other people, then it's way more fun too. And I really took that mindset going into this new year instead of like, I don't really have a lot of end goals on my list. It's more about like, here's the 4 categories. One is like my craft and even changing like from work to craft, like that makes me feel better about it. My faith, my like communication too, like internally and externally. And now I'm blanking, but like focusing more on those daily attributes of what I need to achieve and like what I need to do to make the life that I want and the things that I want. Finance was the other one too, because like I've learned so many things over the years and like I know the direction that I want my life to go and how to get there, but I just don't do the things consistently every day. And like my old basketball coach, LaVale Jordan, he would always say the mark consistency is the mark of a champion. And now I used to just use that phrase like so willy nilly, not really knowing the true meaning of it. And now I feel like I do. It's like really just small things that you do to compound that make somebody great or not, or make you achieve the things you want. And just like really the mindset around those things. I forget what pro was talking about it, but like to be a pro is to be able to do things when it's boring and still do them at a really high level. Because everybody hates doing the same things over and over again. Like that's why so many people don't achieve the things they don't want to is because they can't continually show up. So for me, it was a lot of that. And like I read this book, Fanatical Prospecting, and it was talking about like turning, and I read, well, the algebra of wealth. Both of them, the concepts they were talking about, one was about finance, one was about sales, but they were talking about it needs to be like statistics, basically. Like you need to treat all these things like basketball. You would be like, how many shots am I taking to make this happen, to make this happen? And understanding those numbers and like just at least looking every day to know, like track it in some sort of way, whether that's like you writing down, I spent money on a train ticket today. Was it worth it? Was it not? And like, there's things like Rocket Money and, those are great. But when you write it down yourself, and like are really looking at it that way, it means a lot more to you than clicking a button that says, yes, it goes in this category or what.
I think the end game thing is like the big thing for me too. That's one of the biggest things I noticed this year when I was writing stuff down is how much what I document has changed because I used to do the same thing. Every year my goals were like, I want $1 zillion, like I want financial freedom, like so much of this like and that's not very of a specific example, but everything I was documenting or setting goals for were
Mhm.
things I ultimately do want to do but
Yeah.
nothing to do in the present moment to get me
Yeah.
closer to that. And sure, like those hard to reach goals haven't changed,
Mhm.
but just putting more intention into doing the things that I know will get me to that and
Yeah.
not focusing on the end goal as much.
Yeah.
I also thought it was interesting that a lot of the stuff in my list is things that I've previously done or been passionate about that led me to XYZ that I'm trying to now get back to. Like
Yeah.
there's so many things that are just habits that I used to do
Yeah.
and that would like completely impact how I feel about stuff and how I do things and I just have
Yeah.
lost sense of. So it's
Yeah.
you know, it seems hard. It seems like it's stuff that's hard to get back to. So I thought about that too as I wrote some of this stuff down. Like,
Yeah.
I'm probably not going to journal every day. Like, that's just realistic to me now. So I'm
Mhm.
like, now I need to journal 3 times a week minimum.
Yeah.
And I need to do it whenever I feel an urge to, or whenever a significant like life event happens and I like have,
Yeah.
I need to process it outside of my head. 'Cause
Mhm.
that's like how a lot of this stuff came about that I'm setting forth for 2026 was the few days in between Christmas and New Year's, there were so many things that came to mind that was like, "Okay, I wish I was doing this more because I used to do this, and I wish I was doing this more."
Yeah.
And I would just go to my notes app and start writing about it. And before, at least in like the last few months or probably this year in total, just because 'cause I've been so busy don't like saying busy, but because I've been so busy and just I'm like, yeah, I'm processing it like it's fine. And like I'll do voice memos and stuff like that, which is good for this kind of stuff. But I'm not going back and listening to those voice memos, like
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to have it on paper somewhere for me to look back and think this was a priority to me, whether it's not now or it is, there was a reason why I took the time to write this down. How
Yeah.
can I get back to being more intentional without setting a goal of
Mhm.
doing something that's so far off of my current lifestyle. It's like, how can I blend the
Yeah.
life that I currently live with expectation of what actually can be done,
Mhm.
not thinking of those things being done in the Casey that did it 5 or 6 years ago and I had nothing but time to like write,
Yeah.
So little things like that, just kind of being realistic and making compromises so stuff can actually
Yeah.
get done and feel realistic.
For sure. That makes sense. I was doing a very similar thing this year too, especially with after we had that conversation on here last time about like having the blind confidence and stuff like that. It really made me think about who I was when I was younger and like even the things that I thought were silly. Like I remember I was always so good at like how I talked about things. Like I never would say things negatively. And I was thinking about myself and like how I was feeling and everything. And I'm like, I am letting negativity rule my life at times. Like everybody around you, I mean, especially now that it's like a focus for me within the new year of just not speaking badly about people, like not making jokes that are rooted in negativity, like those types of things. Sitting in my office, every conversation has some sort of like negative comment attached to it. And it's made me be like, holy crap. Like, no wonder I was feeling this way is because I was surrounded by it and I'm also participating in it too. And now you just recognize it. But I was thinking about that a lot though, with when I was younger, I just never, I would always talk about if I had an idea of something I wanted, I would be like, I have it, those types of things. It's just crazy how much of a mind shift and like you do need to remind yourself of who you've built yourself up to be. Like throughout the years and what's been important to you at different times and think about those things because I mean, yeah, you're dumb when you're young. Everyone's dumb at every age. Like let's be real. but there are things that like make so much sense. And a lot of times people look at you like you're dumb when you're young too, because you're just young. And they're like, they couldn't do those things consistently that you're able to do at that time. So remembering those things and then acting upon them is what makes you special and separate too. So yeah,
I
I don't
think
know. I was thinking a lot about that.
Dude, me too. I think that blind confidence is huge, and I think it's funny too because that blind confidence is almost I don't know if I fully believe in manifestation because it's like I'm manifesting something to happen, but I still have to put the pieces in place for those things to happen
Yeah.
actually rather than just like manifesting it.
Mhm.
But have you seen the video? It's like a rapper, I think, and he's like getting interviewed by Bootleg Kev, and he's talking about how he had a scholarship to drum. And he's like, it was like 2, 3 million or something. And Kevin's like, are you sure it's $2 million? He's like, yeah, I turned it down, like just to do this rap shit. And it's like, I follow an Instagram account and it's called I Turned It Down Daily, and they just
Yeah.
post the same clip every single day. I think it's so funny because I'm like, that's not to that extent maybe, but it's like the blind confidence of just truly believing the stuff that you're saying, whether it's
Yeah.
true or not, whether it happened that way or that's just the way you perceive it. But
Yeah.
maybe less exaggerated version of that is like the blind confidence that I think you have when you're young that can
Yeah.
propel you into bigger and better things as adults too.
For sure. For sure. And that is so true. Like every memory you make is not how that memory actually happened. I
Right.
mean, even it happens in daily life too, with like things that happen. The perspective of where you're standing and like how you're already your perceptions of that thing is what deems the outcome of that perception in your mind. So if you change your perspective in little ways, or like, I want to be positive all the time, like that's what's going to happen. And that's how you're going to see everything. I think even like Steph and will talk about memories at times. And she's like, oh, I remember it this way. And I'll remember it a completely different way. And she's like, well, why do you think you remembered it that way compared to this? And, then we have that whole conversation. Um, so I just think it's so interesting. And this year is very much on positivity for me. So if it's negative, I ain't with it, man.
I'm a firm believer that everything in life and everything in business is based around the vanity of how it gets put out into the universe.
Yeah.
And I think that, we have a lot of photographer friends in our life, and we've spent a lot of time, like social media is a big thing of this, is like how it's presented to the planet is typically not the same way it was experienced,
Yeah.
where, we can spend a day digging around in Chicago, for example, like doing whatever we do, shopping, like something pretty low level, but you can get some cool photos shot from that day and it will seem like,
Yeah.
we're these like big shots, like mobbing around Chicago, like doing all this cool
Yeah.
stuff. And I think that's a pretty good metaphor for just anything we kind of put out, and maybe like the curse and the blessing for how and why we do the things we do. But it's
Mhm.
just the perspective that you have on it. It's like the same thing with just like taking the leap of posting on social media. Sometimes it's like you make it seem cool, you decide it's cool. The
Yeah.
rest of the world will perceive it as cool, most likely, or if they don't, like
Yeah.
that's not the right crowd, is kind of the way I'm
Yeah.
thinking about things going into the new year.
Mhm.
So, same page.
I hear you. Is there any like goals that stick out for you, or just things you want to be consistent about that are a big focus for you?
I'm pulling up my list here, and I don't think we have to spend too much time on it, but I was thinking it would be cool if we maybe just went through a few of the things that we brought up and then kind of like challenge each other on them, on like how they can be done and how they can be done more specifically. So like we can use this as a reference point, like looking back into previous years. So I got some ambiguous ones here. One of the big ones that I think you'll be a big part of is the promotion of visible. I
Mhm.
think like doing it more intentionally and committing to the efforts of it is something I've sort of neglected. Like I've put a little effort into the new website, well, a lot of effort into the new website, and then I kind of scrapped that and then just made some like quick updates to the WordPress site. But doing things like the sales strategy that we're working on, doing stuff with like representing myself as the owner and operator of that business rather than kind of like diminishing it as this
Yeah.
side thing that I work on. I think like the wearing that hat is something that's going to kind of propel it in this coming year. So that's something I'm
Yeah.
looking forward to. Um Charging my Whoop. It's funny the spectrum of this list because it's like
Yeah.
some are just like super philosophical and some of them are just like day to day changes. But charging my Whoop and tracking my sleep again,
Hmm.
um, haven't charged my Whoop or like really tracked my sleep intentionally probably for most of this year. Just
Yeah.
because my sleep has had its ups and downs, and I'm like, well, if I don't wear it, like I can't see how bad my sleep's been.
And you used to be on that like every day.
Yeah.
You'd be
Well,
like
and
texting me about it.
when you get to the point where it's like, okay, I'm doing everything I need to do to sleep good. So like, what is this data going to tell me? But
Yeah.
if for nothing else, it just kind of breeds consistency and
Hmm.
lets you physically see what's happening and kind of,
Yeah.
helps build the foundation for your energy and your lifts and stuff and like gives you kind of a guideline for that kind of stuff. Consistent workout schedule, prioritizing run, bike, and swim, but then also lifting 2 to 3 days a week.
Hmm.
Something I struggled with a lot in this past year was my workouts kind of being all over the place. And like we talk about that a lot. Like I've been a lift centric guy a lot in the past. Like I always
Casey, I
wanted
love
to be
Miller.
I always wanted to be KCI Lift Miller and I wanted to be big and strong. I wanted to lift a lot. I wanted to, gain weight and I wanted to eat a ton and whatever. The last probably 2 or 3 years that's changed. But it's kind of put me in this in between where got super addicted to biking, like ran some half marathons, love to swim, like it's my favorite
Yeah.
type of workout, but I'm like, how do I balance all of that so I feel like I'm not half-assing each type of workout, but
Yeah.
like finding a consistent routine so that I feel good about where my strength is at, but then also having a good routine for like the run, bike, and swim so it feels more organized but also realistic.
Hmm.
I don't remember. I was talking to Shay, I think, about this. Like, Shay's in like the health and wellness space, and like she does like life coaching as much as she does the actual training piece. But I was telling her about how I know my body so well, which I think is kind of has its pros and cons, where
Hmm.
I'll need 2 or 3 days of mobility and cardio and like stretching and like getting myself back into the swing of things before I have a truly like successful in my mind lifting day. But I'm
Hmm.
like, how much of that is me just like convincing myself I need extra days before I can, bust my ass again? So still working on like what the specific routine will look like, but ultimately I'd like to run a full marathon this year and then compete in Ragbri. I don't know if you've heard about that before, but it's just like a super long bike race.
Okay.
So two
I think you
things
mentioned
that
it to me.
will kind of come from finding a consistent schedule with it.
Yeah. Nice.
Do you have any workout? I can keep going down my list, but maybe we can just like check in on my items if you have anything that pertains to the same category.
Yeah, for workouts. Well, one is I want to enter into a jujitsu competition, which I've been trying to do.
Yeah,
Second one is to win a competition, and then the third is to get a blue belt.
nice.
Just like based on consistency as well as when you how much you're competing and like that can fast track it. And so I probably I don't know with if I keep getting hurt that won't happen, but
Yeah.
if I am able to show up, it will probably. And the other thing is this summer I'm getting into kiteboarding. If you know what that is, like having the parachute with a wakeboard, basically. So those are the two like athletic things I want to do or I'm going to do. And then, yeah, that I would say, like I mentioned, I don't really have like a ton of like outcome based goals.
Yeah.
I have skydiving as one. That's just something I've been talking about for a long time. Um,
Rip the Band-Aid off with that.
yeah, I've just had this weird thing about like spending money, even though like that experience is something that I definitely want. So I'm just gonna do it. Now I make enough money that I don't really care.
Yeah.
Spend a couple $100 on myself or like, I don't know. I was so like would be weird about any sort of spending. A big one that I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna do a full year of being sober, which I've done 6 months before, but this time I'm just like, I don't know. Let's just see if I can do it, and I don't know, see if I actually want to keep doing it. And because like last time when I did it, this at the 6 month mark, I had just started working in the corporate world. And like everybody was talking about going to happy hours and like everyone was trying to get me to drink. And I was just like, I hadn't spent my time in an office each week. So I was like drained. And I remember saying to my dad early on, being like, I understand why people want a beer on a Friday night or after they get done with work, you know?
Thanks.
But now I'm used to it. Now I can get through it and I have a different mindset. So gonna do that. And um another one is just like by March having all my student loans paid off, which is obtainable. Yeah. Let's see. Oh yeah, with for Visible, I have our first K deal done together by January. And then long term is where is it? To have a 10K have 10K, sorry, have 20K on a recurring retainer with different clients so that I can make a decision of like if I want to keep working somewhere or if I want to just fully do this. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Those are the main like outcome goals.
Mm-hmm.
Big one for me though is just specifically within my faith, like praying 3 times a day with my daily prayer. And then at the end of the day, visualizing like, okay, did I do the things I wanted to do? And how can I improve each interaction? And I also have a goal of like just trying to make one person's day a day and like seeing if I did that and seeing where I could have done that to do that. So, and like I said, then just communication, which I think that aligns with the faith piece too, of like a whole mindset shift and focus on positivity, love, and seeing opportunities instead of like the lack mindset that I've had for a little bit.
When it comes to like the faith and communication piece, like, do you feel like you have the tools for that? Like, or not the tools, but like, do you feel like you know what that looks like? Do you feel like you have like a good set, like a good idea of what's the scale of considering to make someone's day? Like, how are you going to know how that box is checked? Or I'm sure it'll be different by day, but
Yeah. I think it's just like as simple as giving someone a good compliment. You know, I've in the past been great at that of like recognizing something and giving a very specific compliment. Or whether that's like someone's hungry on the street and they asked me if I could buy them something, like that's easy enough. And like then not just like buying it for them, but having a conversation with them. A lot of times I help or I'll like get somebody something in Chicago that just needs help. And when I have a conversation with them, they go on and on about how just people don't treat them like a human being, like that they just will laugh in their face and stuff like that. And you know, I don't know that hurts me to hear that because like I had this one guy that was around the same age as us, just saying like, I need help. He's like, I'm going through a rough time. It's cold, like blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I get it, man. Like, I haven't been fully in that situation, but I know what it's like to need just some help. And so that's a simple way to do it, I think, too.
yeah, and you'll have some good opportunity to do that with where you're at too. I think that I try to do the same thing. So I'm gonna probably be adding something similar to my list after we hop off the call because I think that it's just little things when it comes to intentionality with people in general that I think are good things to bring into the new year, but just to kind of live by in general. So I appreciate you kind of bringing that reminder too.
Yeah. And then on the other piece, too, just making sure, like, for Visible or for Formula specifically, is having 52 episodes this year, having
Oh
our
yeah.
first guest, and having a brand deal.
I love it. I think another addition should be having some in-person podcast on like both of us together in the same
Yeah.
space. Like we haven't even never really talked about that, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna hopefully be out there more, and then you're gonna find time to come out and visit here too, and be
Yeah,
a whole different world.
I do need to send you a new date since that last one didn't work.
Yeah, we'll talk about that. I think that that weekend probably would be tough just because we'd probably be less hosty and more just
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
in the
Yeah.
same space,
We'll
but
find
it
something
would be a
else.
good weekend too because she's going to be working some sick events. But
Yeah.
no, I like having goals for the podcast. I had some stuff written down about like dialing the branding and stuff in, but I'm looking forward to consistency with this. I know we have the next couple concepts slated for these out or these episodes. So
Mhm.
obviously we're talking about the new year and our goals and stuff with this one, but
Yeah.
the next two, I think just to kind of tee them up, we're gonna do like a full introduction to me and a full introduction to you, just to kind of go top to bottom of what led us here, because I don't think we've ever done true introductions of ourselves. We kind of just got on here and started recording, and
Yeah.
we're these strangers to any strangers listening to this potentially. But I think it would be good to dive a bit deeper to upbringing and career changes and
Yeah.
uh, where we've lived and how we integrated into each other's lives and
Mhm.
all that kind of stuff. So we'll keep thinking about specific topics, and I want to get a content calendar together too. And
Yeah.
this is a process, like this is something that I'm prioritizing for myself and like existing visible clients where, and this is going to be the case too, like once we make sales together with visible, every client essentially gets a varying amount of content units and technical efforts, and I'm working on a plan to slate or slot different days for each individual client throughout the month. So
Mhm.
then, so rather than having days like just for writing and then kind of sporadically getting stuff done, trying to like get it done by the end of the month, I
Yeah.
want each client to have a specific day or days that I dedicate to them so I can just power through it,
Yeah.
finish it, and not think about it again. And I ordered, and I think you guys had a version of this too, but I got the like big ass calendar, like the super big one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put on the wall right here, and I'm gonna prioritize. I'm kind of combining a bunch at once, but first of all, I'm gonna get my calendar in order. So I'm gonna have a content calendar figured out for the different clients, and I'm gonna kind of like map out my full year. But then
Mhm.
I'm gonna prioritize whether it's for visible, whether it's just for like business stuff in general, or for
Yeah.
myself. I want to prioritize one process improvement each month,
Mhm.
and I already have like the first couple months figured out. But every month I want to dedicate towards documentation for something,
Mhm.
finding like a better way for workflows, or just like something new each month so that by the time I get to the end of this year, everything feels super well oiled.
Yeah.
So month one, content calendar, figuring out when everything's going to be done for every client
Mhm.
throughout the month for the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So I'm stoked about that one.
Right. I love that. Yeah. Content calendars are huge, man, especially just utilizing the calendar. I know we've talked about that a ton, but it's a busy person finds a way to do it because they know how to utilize their calendar. So I remember, like, I mean, they talk about different forgot who was saying this, but they said my managers that are the best are the moms that have 3 kids and are so busy. You give it to them because they'll find the time, and they understand that they don't need to take years to do something. They just need to put a specific time together and execute on it.
Yeah. Well, I'm at the place now too where it's like I manage far more than, not that I'm capable of, but like
Yeah.
I've reached my breaking point where it's like I don't think I could manage more than I do.
Yeah.
And I think I do an okay job at it, but I want to stop feeling like I'm behind and doing stuff because it needs to get done and get back ahead of it. So it's like, here's my day to work on this stuff. Let me knock it out and then
Yeah.
work on what I need to do the next day and the next day.
Yeah.
Um, so I don't know, just like owning my calendar. We've talked about this a lot, but this is a more specific version of that for me to feel good throughout the whole year and not have,
Hmm.
not feel like I'm a chicken with my head cut off, like feel like everything's organized. This is
Yeah.
when X gets done. Here's where I'm going to spend my time on sales stuff. Here's where I'm going to spend my time on branding stuff. Here's where I'm going to post on social media. Like I want to feel like everything's orchestrated as much as possible. Like I want there to be some fluidity too, but figuring out how I can get back ahead and not just do it to get it done.
Yeah. For sure.
So
Any specific goals with formula that you wanted to cover? Any last words that you wanted to make sure we got to?
I think the formula thing you covered, all things I agree on. I want to lock in this month, kind of like a better branding package. I know we have
Mhm.
a slide deck to kind of go through to hopefully zero in on like some of the logos and branding sides, but get a new intro and
Yeah.
make it feel like we're confident enough to bring people on and put it out there. And
Yeah. All right, hit us with your freestyle for the visible intro.
I don't rap for free, man. I told you, you got to take out the M's for that.
All right.
Yeah, that's a goal too. Get some more some Tim on music out there. If Tim watches this one day,
Yeah,
Tim, get some shit out.
heard you. Well, always a pleasure. Episode 11. Moving on now.
Yes,
Episode
sir.
12, the intro of Casey I Lift Miller.
In flesh. All right, bro. I'll see you then.